Good morning, everybody. Today I'm going to do an update on my DSunY DSUNY Do Sun Yourself LED light system that I bought off eBay. Probably 2 years ago now. I recently bought a house and upgraded to a 90-gallon tank, and I just moved in 2 months ago, so you guys are going to see some dead corals in here. These have nothing to do with the lights. These have to do with the fact that moving was a huge pain in the butt. And it took me 2 days to get my new tank set up. And I ended up losing all of my acropora. Pretty much almost all of my SPS. Even my monopora plate coral died except for one corner, which I'm hoping will bring the rest of it back. But anyway, back to the point. These lights still work great. I have not had any problems with them other than the power supplies overheating. If you leave the power supplies sitting on the carpet, especially if you have more of like a shaggy-ish carpet that's going to hold some heat in on those power supplies, they were overheating and the lights were turning off and back on, off and back on, off and back on. What I did to solve that problem was I simply took a PC fan and have it blowing right across the power supplies. I don't know if you guys can see them down there in that hodgepodge. I've tried to make everything nice and neat, but even when you try to make everything nice and neat in a tight space, it doesn't always work out being nice and neat. But it's getting the job done. It's keeping them very cool. They're cool to the touch. No issues there now. And I'd say I'm still happy with these lights. I do have one, maybe two minor criticisms of them. But for the price, they're still probably the best thing you're going to find, without spending, an arm and a leg on something that's mostly in just a name brand. My first criticism of these lights is that the lenses have a narrow angle. So, as you can see with my frag racks here, any frags that are out here closer to the front of the tank are not going to get much light. If you look in the back of my tank there, the back of my tank does not get much light at the top. At the bottom, it's fine, but at the top, not getting much light. And I have these mounted probably 5 or 6 inches off the water, 7 inches off the water. The water's about 6 or 7 inches below the lights. So I've got them, they're not right up on the water, and the angle just, I would like a slightly wider angle. That's a really minor criticism, especially when you consider that you're only going to be putting your, highlight demand SPS at the top of the tank anyway, your acroporas, your millis, and stuff like that. But the spectrum of these lights and the intensity is great. The other minor criticism that I have is that I do wish there was more actinic light, more actinic range LEDs in this light. 1 or 2 more actinic LEDs per module would have been great. Because although everything in here looks good, certain colors of corals do not pop very well under this light because there's just not enough actinic and not enough blue light to really make them stand out. So what I'm thinking that I probably want to do is build a slightly taller than average canopy for this, mount the lights inside the canopy, and supplement the LEDs with 2 ATIT5s, either a true actinic and a blue plus, or a true actinic and a purple plus, just to give a little bit better spectrum and a little bit better pop of corals, but also to give some better diffused light. Because I actually had a rose bubble tip anemone basically wither away to nothing under these lights. I don't know if that was the light's fault, but I suspect that anemones aren't as they're not as responsive in a positive way to LEDs in general. From what I've seen and what I've talked to from a couple of friends, they haven't had much luck with rose bubble tips underneath of LEDs either. One of my friends, he he had his bubble tip under LEDs and it was really unhappy. And then as soon as he supplemented his LEDs with T5s, his bubble tip looked beautiful from then on out. So I do think that maybe bubble tips like more of a diffused light, a lot less of a concentrated point of light, like you get from these LEDs. So the controller still works great. I believe I took a quick glance online to see what they had. I was thinking about adding 2 more modules, and so that I have better coverage over the whole tank, putting one in the back and one in the front. And it appears that they now offer a version with built-in Wi-Fi control, but I do not know if I would look at that realistically. Considering how bad the user interface was on the controller that came with this one, it's not straightforward. It's not well done. And I don't know what their interface on the Wi-Fi version looks like, but if it looks like this one does, and it's just transferred that to your phone or your tablet or whatever you're going to use to set it up, then I would say absolutely do not waste the money on it, because I never use any of the do-it-yourself settings on this thing because it is so poorly designed. It would be a huge pain in the butt, and I would spend half of my day just setting it up, and I'm just not interested in doing that. The preset modes in this controller are already great. It's got a vivid mode, which honestly doesn't do much for me. It's not blue enough still. Personally, maybe I just like a little bit more blue. I like the way that it makes the greens and the blues and everything in the tank pop a lot. There's some really, really nice, expensive, pallies down there that are supposed to pop a really intense blue and purple, but under these lights they kind of wash out. They don't really pop at all. Greens look okay, but that's about it really under these lights. Greens look decent. Everything else kind of washes. So that's what I think of these lights. I like them. If I was doing it now again, I don't know if I'd get them again, because there's a lot of other stuff coming out. I would probably be looking for more of a T5 LED hybrid light if I was looking right now, just because I think that's probably the best you're going to get as far as quality of light for a broad range of corals and color spectrum, and getting a nice pop from on your corals and good growth, as well as every different species of animal having something that they like in that, because there are certain things that do really well under T5s, and there are certain things that do really well under LEDs. And when you have both, you're going to get the best of both worlds. Whereas if you just have T5s, you're not going to do quite as well with certain corals. And if you just have LEDs, like I mentioned with my anemone, it just no luck at all. My acros have grown like weeds under this light. So if your acros or SPS in general, monoporas, plate corals, chalices, all that stuff has just gone crazy under this light. If that's the stuff you're into and you have no interest in anemones, this light is the light for you. If you want to keep anemones and you want to keep some other stuff too, look for something with some T5 added to it. And alright guys, thank you very much for watching, and I hope that this review was helpful. And if you have any questions, please feel free to post them in the comment section, and I will answer them as soon as I can. Thank you. Bye.